Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of the award-winning HUTV, Huntsville Utilities Television. I'm Todd, joined as always by the Bonnie to my Clyde and the Jekyll to my Hyde, Amanda.
Hi, everybody.
Who's our show sponsored by this week, Amanda?
Oh, this week it's brought to you by hand sanitizer.
Tasty hand sanitizer. Well, that's good. And what's the title of this week's show, Amanda?
I wasn't exactly sure how to title it, so I'm probably going to say it wrong. But
Okay.
basically, I wanted to, hash out the why is my power out and how long is it going to take till it's back on?
Kind of wordy, but it works. So
I know,
yes,
it's a long title.
That's the topic today. Power outages. Nobody likes power outages. I don't like them.
I don't like them.
I don't like them when they happen to me. I don't like them as part of the company. We don't like them.
My battery is always at 25% when the power goes out.
Right. And of course, those of you who, lived here at the time remember, the big one from April of 2011.
Yeah.
My power was out for a week.
I wasn't here for that one, but I can relate because when I lived in Seattle, I had my power out for 5 days, and everybody around me had power except for our entire street. It was tough.
Well, that's why you're supposed to pay your bill. My house that I've lived at here in Huntsville, we bought it after 2011, but there's only been one power outage at that house since we bought it, and ironically, it was 1 or 2 days before I had my job interview here.
That had to have been awkward.
It was very odd because one of the questions, since I was being interviewed for a communications job, was, what are we doing right and wrong when it comes to outage communications? And I said, well, let me tell you. But that's what we're talking about today. And outages can be caused by lots of different things.
Squirrels.
Small animals in general.
Snakes. Tree
also
limbs.
Small animals, yeah.
Are snakes animal? Okay, I'm just kidding.
Yes, they are.
Wind, rain, when it,
Weather in general.
Yeah.
See, I'm speaking in broad terms. You're speaking in specifics.
Yeah, lightning.
Small animals, weather, and what's the other big one around here?
Wind.
People.
Oh, I forgot
Car
about that one.
accidents. People driving their cars. Car accidents are those are the main ones. There are other reasons, of course, but those are the big ones. Small animals, weather, and car accidents.
Car accidents is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate one. But no matter what the cause, the process to get the power going again is very similar, no matter what the cause.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. We're going to briefly talk about it here. The first thing we got to do is find out what's the damage, what caused the power outage.
Right.
Then you got the substation, which you can think of as like a big circuit breaker,
right?
Like the circuit breaker in your house, except this one is like a circuit breaker for like a neighborhood.
And then you've got to restore the lines that bring the power in.
Any lines that were damaged or brought down,
right?
You got to get them off the ground, get them up, get them reconnected,
and then the secondary distribution lines, which are like the smaller lines, but still
might
feeding
take it to your street, like you were talking about,
right?
And then you have the individual ones that might go to your individual house.
Right.
Yeah. So that's they go in order. You start from big, go down to little.
Yeah. Because the main thing is that, when it's a large outage, we want to get as many people back on as possible, as fast as possible.
And as safely as possible.
And then back to my incident in Seattle, where it was just my street.
Because you didn't pay the bill.
No, it wasn't that. It was that now I understand, they were working big to small. And my street, it was only like 5 of us that were without power.
And in some cases, some of those steps are going to go faster than others. You know, if we know that a tree, if you can see the tree took out, several spans of power line, well, we know where the problem is. You pretty much got the damage assessed at that point, and you can move in right into the next phase. So, yeah. Here, where we live, there are 2 times of year where the weather is bad.
Yeah.
That has the potential to be bad.
Well, yeah.
And we're moving into one of those right now, the fall severe weather season.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a disaster preparedness kit that includes things you should have in case of a power outage.
Right. Batteries.
Batteries. She always chimes in there.
Batteries
Batteries is a big one. Get one. And the American Red Cross has a checklist you should go by for this, and we will put a link to that in the show description. It's one of those things, Amanda hears me say this all the time, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yep.
Now, there are a couple of questions that we get asked during a power outage. We'll get these through social media. Our call center will get these.
I know.
What's the first one, Amanda?
How much longer till my power's back on?
Exactly. And that's a valid question.
If my power goes out at my house, I text him and do the same thing.
I absolutely, when it happened to me, I wanted to know, how much longer is this going to be? Because here's the thing that I do. I'll be sitting there, power will be out, and I'm like, oh, power's out. I'm bored. What should I do? Oh, I'll watch TV. Well, no, I won't, because the power's out. I mean, I do that.
I know. It catches all of us.
Power goes out. You want to know when it's going to be back on. We may not necessarily know, because we got to find out what caused it first. Mm-hmm. And even if we know what caused it, well, we could say, well, a car hit a pole, and we saw the thing happen in Madison.
Yep.
And the great picture of the car that was up on the guy wires.
Even that one, once they got the power back on, they were like, oh, wait, we still have to do one more repair.
Exactly. So what will happen is they may know exactly, well, here's where this damage is. They get that fixed, and we may know, well, to fix this is only going to take 45 minutes. Well, then they get that fixed, they put the power back on, and that triggers something else that they might not have known about. So we don't want to tell you, oh, well, they'll be done in 45 minutes. Then when they reset the power, they find another problem, because then we've given you incorrect information, and we're not going to do that. So that's the main thing, is we don't want to put pressure on those guys.
Right.
We don't want them to say, oh, gosh, communications told the customers we'd have this done in 45 minutes. Because we don't want them, safety is paramount. Mm-hmm. So we don't put pressure on them to get it done in a specific amount of time. But they do want to get it done as quickly as possible.
They do. And they move so fast. I mean, when I'm on these major, storm outage where I'm trying to capture the crews in action, there's so many times where I'll pull up to a job site thinking that they're still there, and they're already done and they've left. I mean,
or they've moved on to another part of it.
Work fast and furious.
The other question that we get a lot is why, there's a power outage, why haven't you posted anything about it on social media?
Yeah, we've talked about that before. I mean...
And we don't post every outage.
We don't. And, it's... If we post every single outage, then we're going to clutter... we're going to clutter the lines with small outages. Yeah. It needs to be something significant. So
it needs to be, and of course, if my power's out, to me that's significant.
Oh, gosh.
But if it's just a tree fell in front of my house and took out the service line to my house, and I'm the only one without power, well, no, you don't need to do a social media post.
We don't need to share
about that. So we only post the ones that impact large areas, high numbers of customers. Because we can have it where it impacts a high number of customers, but not necessarily one big area. And a good example of that is when we do have storms blow through, it might not knock trees down all across the county.
Yep.
It might not knock out all the power in New Hope, but if you add up all the little outages, that could add up to the population in New Hope. So
right.
That's what we're going by when we're doing this.
Well, and if you're not sure and we haven't posted anything about it, then the first place to go is our outage map.
The outage map on our website.
That's a great place to, if you're curious about what's happening and wondering, well, do I need to call it in? Number one, you probably need to call it in.
You always call it in. And never assume that somebody else called it in.
Right.
We would rather have 5 people report the same outage than nobody call and report the outage. So call it in. When in doubt, call it in, and always be in doubt.
And what's the number?
256-53. Huh?
I remembered the 53.
You remembered the 53 this time.
Yeah.
Sometimes she forgets it, but it's 256-53-LIGHT, L-I-G-H-T.
Yep.
For those of you who are considerably younger and don't really know why those letters are on the numbers of the phone other than for texting, that's 256-535-4448. That will connect you with our dispatch. If there's a power outage or a downline, don't just simply send us a tweet or something through Facebook Messenger, because that's not going to get to the people who need to know it.
Right.
Our dispatchers do not monitor our social media pages. So that's everything maybe not everything you wanted to know about power outages, but that's certainly a lot about power outages.
If there's something that we left out, feel free to, put it in the comments. Ask us a question if there's anything that we didn't cover.
Because if you do ask us a question or
Yes.
post a comment, you may find yourself in our viewer mail segment,
All right.
which we are gladly bringing back today. Our question comes from Rebecca Winters,
Okay.
who I believe lives here in Huntsville. She posted this on LinkedIn. And last week, I'm sure a lot of you know, we posted an article that had a lot of really cool pictures in it of water towers.
Yes, I remember the peach.
And people, yes, there was the peach. There was, a lot of people said, well, there's also one in Gaffney that's like a peach.
Okay.
There was a picture of one that looked like a ketchup bottle. Mm-hmm. There was one that looked like the Taj Mahal, one that looked like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And a lot of people, that post got a lot of engagement, got a lot of impressions. People really liked that. And I thought it was pretty, even before I worked in the utility business, I've always found that to be interesting. People that decorate cities that decorate their water towers. And I believe in one episode, I posted a picture that I took when I was in Ocean City, Maryland, because they have one that's looks like a beach ball.
Oh, I was going to say Maryland. I think of crabs.
Well, yeah, but the shape is more conducive to beach ball than crab.
Okay, yes.
That would be cool. And maybe there is one that looks like a crab somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I think that's pretty cool when people do that. So Rebecca's question was, and I think this is a very good question. This is a question that I asked at one point.
Okay.
Why do we not have a rocket one here? That's a good question.
That would be awesome.
It's a very good question. And I wish we did have one. Mm-hmm. We could have one that's shaped like a rocket. We could have one that's painted like the moon. Anyway, that's Rebecca's question. Now, I didn't know the answer.
Yeah.
You didn't know the answer.
I didn't. So.
But we know who did know the answer.
Yeah,
Who knew the answer?
Fritz.
Fritz knew the answer. Fritz
Is the man.
Fritz
when it
is the
comes to
man.
water.
Fritz is basically King Neptune.
Yeah.
He rules the waves. He rules the water. He's the head of the Huntsville Utilities Water Department, water operations.
And what did he tell you?
Well, first he said, "Why are you calling me in the middle of the night?" And then he said, there are two reasons for this. The first one is going to be pretty obvious.
It costs money.
It costs money. It would cost a lot of money to paint and maintain, because you don't want to paint it and then just let it go.
Right.
To paint and maintain a decorative water tower is cost prohibitive, especially if, like us, you are a not-for-profit utility. The second reason I find very interesting, the city basically has asked us not to do that.
I know for a fact that the towers have to be painted a very specific shade of green. I know that part. But I don't.
Yes.
I don't really remember.
The city of Huntsville wants the water towers to just blend in and not be overly visible.
And that makes sense because I don't usually see them.
Right. They want them to be completely unnoticed, and they would prefer them to not be higher than the tree line. In some cases, that's not possible because a water tower has to be, for the physics involved, has to be.
They just repainted one on Montesano, and I noticed that they painted it green at the bottom, and then they did it blue at the top.
And it's a very specific shade of green that they want, and they really want it to blend in. And I get that. I do get that. But I also think it would be cool to have one that looked like a rocket or the moon.
The moon would be cool.
Yeah. Things change. Who knows? 10 years from now, they may all look like rockets. I don't know. I think it would be great. I don't get to make those decisions.
Right.
I don't know what to do about it, but I think it would be cool. So there you go. You got anything you want to add about water towers or the power outage thing or anything in general?
No.
I got nothing else, but if you have something else, you could be like Rebecca Winters and get your question answered right here.
Yep.
And there you go.
Right.
So, anyway, yes, that's this week's show. We'll be back next week with another episode and hopefully with the answers to your questions. Until then, I am Todd for Amanda and all of us at the award-winning HUTV saying thanks for watching. And remember, you can't spell utilities without you.